So what do you actually teach your students, and you also do like corporate communications as well, right? I mean, so through that, your vision of how content is going to be created in the future. I mean, how are you prepping your students?
So within my community, I train not just professional actors, and who are trying to make it into the TV market, the film market, the theater scene, not just Singapore, not just regionally, but also internationally. The big bulk of my community within my studio, I call them creative double lifers. These are people I term as having some sort of parent approved profession: lawyers, doctors, bankers. They're in blockchain, Bitcoin, something or other, where the parent goes, yes, I approve of my son and daughter. They are tax paying citizens, and this is a real job. But a lot of these people, they don't feel fulfilled at these jobs. They feel like that fire that they had when they left graduate school has been very quickly squashed or diminished by the corporate life. And so they desire an outlet or a means to express themselves, especially in a world that desires homogenization. And so they come to my teachers and I after office hours or work hours to learn how to act, to write, to make films, to do poetry, to do stand-up comedy, to do improv comedy, you name it. They're looking to find a place where they can express themselves on stage or on camera in a healthy means of creating balance of that creative double life while maintaining that corporate commerce life. That's one group of creative double lifers. The other group and big group of creative double lifers that I have that come to my studio, they have zero desire of ever being on stage, zero desire of ever being on camera. They may not even want to be a passionate audience member. They just don't even like the arts.
Right.
But they have read on LinkedIn, their HR managers told them, the L&D person has told them that there is some sort of 21st century essential skill that the arts can potentially teach you. Even right now, if you Google 21st century skills on LinkedIn, you're talking critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, communication, all of these things which people in the corporate world go, wow, that's brilliant, that's so amazing. And artists are going, we've been doing this our whole lives, right? And so you've got your creative double lifers who are coming for these exact same workshops with a different objective in mind, where they want to take these skills, these tools, and find a way to make it relevant to their personal life and their professional life. And so they do that within the studio. But outside of the studio, I'm seeing an increasing emphasis in companies like your BBCs, your DBS banks, your OCBC, your Google, where your statutory boards, where they are now beginning to shift away from a focus on STEM subjects into STEAM, where that A standing for arts now has an equal footing in the emphasis of the education of people moving forward.
Right.
And within the arts, there seems to be, again, that 21st century thinking of how do we make our people future-proof? How do we begin to make sure that their EQ can beat AI? How can we make sure that these people are going to be adaptable and they're still going to feel like they have some sort of purpose? Because very quickly, if a machine can do your job, you're fucked. Right?
Totally.
Very quickly, if you feel that you're not really contributing anything at work, you phone it in. No employer wants an employee who phones it in. And so I go into these companies and truthfully, I teach them things in many ways they know how to do, or at least they used to know how to do, but they forgot.
Right.
Even right now, you looking at me in the eye, right, and I see beautiful brown eyes. When is the last time you genuinely look someone in the eye? It is almost an unheard of concept in the office.
Right.
To be able to say hello and smile at someone is an almost unheard of concept in the office. To be able to be adaptable, to be able to think outside of the box, it's an almost unheard of concept in the office. To be able to communicate your ideas in a succinct, in a specific manner, almost unheard of. Where you've got all the knowledge, all the skills, but you don't know how to translate it in a way that's understood by your peers. Almost unheard of. And that's exactly what I do when I go into these companies. I teach, I essentially bring theater into the workplace is what I like to call it, where I take a lot of the tools and skills from the theatrical arts, from the performing arts, and I unpack it in a way that it makes sense for these guys. So whether it's in banking, whether it's in communications, whether it's in whatever it is, essentially the same values are required across the board. How do I think critically? How do I communicate? How do I collaborate? How can I be creative so that I can be future-proof? How can I be EQ savvy? Because essentially, that is what's going to make my boss keep me, and that's what's going to keep me retained to this company.
Yeah.
That EQ.
Yeah.
And that's where the arts comes in, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. I mean, yeah, because even taking communication, right? Before, it was okay to stand behind a booth, read out from a paper, and then show this really boring presentation with so much language on it.
Yeah.
Right? Now everything's becoming like TEDified, right?
Yes.
Right? You have to have a little bit of theory in your
Yes.
movements, the way you speak. You got to catch people's attention, or otherwise everybody's just going to start, texting away, right?
Correct.
And you need that, because if you're going to go out and pitch to a potential client, or even pitch internally, you need that skill to grab your boss's attention, your client's attention, right? And more it's needed, because then a lot of the stuff that we were doing before as considered jobs, we were pushing paper, right? I mean, like, basically we were just processing shit, and now processing shit is being done by computers, right? I mean, they're all softwares out there that can do all the shit that you've been doing before. So what is there left of us that can actually do something then better than AI, right?
I'll tell you what it is. It's not pushing paper, it's pushing story. And that is something that people have been doing literally since the Stone Age, where like Ugg and his fellow cavemen would gather around the fire to hear the village headman. And we've been doing that for millennia, and it's still the same thing. People gravitate towards stories. People gravitate not towards fact and logic, they gravitate towards emotion. They gravitate towards that emotional resonance, that shared heat that people have. I can read a spreadsheet myself. Give me the PowerPoint deck. Don't waste my time for 3 hours. I'll read it my damn self.
Yeah, exactly.
What I'm buying into is a personality, or the cult of personality, or the story that comes with the personality. Of course, then we also have to look at the other side of it, which is then you've got your WeWork types, where you're going to be, that's again, another slippery slope for another day. But, so there are, again, the visibility of having the charisma and the cult of personality, but you also need that credibility that comes with it, where, okay, you tell a good story, but can I trust you? You tell a good story, but what are your intentions with this story? Because a good storyteller is also very quickly someone who can be a cult leader.
Totally.
Is very quickly someone who could be a dictator. One man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter, as they call it.
Future Design Podcast.